Imagine if the universe is not just something we live inside, but something that is aware of us. Welcome to Information World. For centuries, humans have looked up at the night sky and asked the same silent question: what is all this really? We have measured the universe, mapped it, broken it into equations, particles, and forces. Yet the more we learn, the stranger it becomes. Today, we explore one of the most fascinating and controversial ideas ever proposed: what if the universe itself is conscious? At first, this idea sounds like science fiction. Consciousness is something we associate with brains, neurons, thoughts, and feelings. We believe it belongs to humans, animals, and perhaps advanced artificial intelligence in the future. The universe, on the other hand, seems cold, mechanical, and indifferent. Stars explode, galaxies collide, and black holes devour everything nearby without intention or emotion. Or so it seems. But modern science and philosophy are slowly revealing cracks in this old picture. Consciousness, once thought to be a side effect of complex brains, now appears deeply mysterious. We still cannot explain how subjective experience arises from physical matter. At the same time, physics is showing us that the universe is far less solid, predictable, and separate than we once believed. These two mysteries, consciousness and the universe, may be more connected than we ever imagined. To understand this idea, we must first ask a fundamental question: what is consciousness? At its most basic level, consciousness is experience. It is the feeling of being aware. The taste of sweetness, the color red, the sense of existing right now. Science can measure brain activity, electrical signals, and chemical reactions, but none of these fully explain why experience exists at all. This is known as the hard problem of consciousness, and it remains unsolved. Now here is where things get interesting. If consciousness cannot be fully explained by matter alone, then maybe consciousness is not something that emerges from the universe. Maybe it is something that is built into the universe itself. One idea that explores this possibility is called panpsychism. Panpsychism suggests that consciousness is a fundamental property of reality, just like mass, charge, or energy. In this view, everything in the universe has some form of experience, even if it is incredibly simple. An electron would not think or feel like a human, but it might possess a tiny, primitive form of awareness. This idea may sound strange, but many respected philosophers and scientists take it seriously. Why? Because it offers a potential solution to the hard problem of consciousness. If consciousness exists everywhere in some basic form, then complex consciousness, like the human mind, could simply be the result of simpler forms combining in highly organized ways. But panpsychism is only one piece of the puzzle. Another comes from modern physics, especially quantum mechanics. At the quantum level, reality behaves in ways that challenge our everyday understanding. Particles can exist in multiple states at once. They can influence each other across vast distances instantly, through a phenomenon known as quantum entanglement. Most strangely of all, the act of observation seems to play a role in determining outcomes. In some interpretations of quantum mechanics, a system does not settle into a definite state until it is observed. This has led some thinkers to wonder whether consciousness itself is fundamental to the structure of reality. Does the universe require observation to exist in a concrete way? And if so, who or what is doing the observing? Some scientists argue that observation does not require a conscious mind, only interaction. Others are not so sure. The relationship between consciousness and measurement remains one of the most debated topics in physics. While no conclusion has been reached, the mystery remains open and deeply unsettling. Then there is the universe's incredible fine-tuning. The laws of physics appear precisely calibrated to allow the existence of stars, chemistry, life, and intelligence. If certain constants were even slightly different, the universe would be lifeless. Some explain this through the idea of multiple universes, where we simply happen to live in one that supports life. Others wonder whether the universe somehow knows how to allow complexity to emerge. This does not mean the universe planned life in a human sense. But it raises the possibility that the universe has an intrinsic tendency toward awareness, complexity, and self-organization. From simple particles came atoms. From atoms came molecules. From molecules came cells. From cells came brains capable of wondering about the universe itself. This looks less like random chaos and more like a process moving toward self-awareness. In fact, the universe observing itself through conscious beings is a powerful idea. When you look at the stars, it is not just a human looking at the universe. It is the universe, made of the same atoms forged in ancient stars, looking back at itself. Your thoughts, emotions, and awareness are not separate from the cosmos. They are expressions of it. Some philosophers take this idea further and suggest that the universe may have a form of global consciousness. Not a mind like ours, with thoughts and desires, but something more abstract. A unified field of awareness that underlies all existence. Individual minds, in this view, are localized expressions of a much larger, cosmic consciousness. This idea appears in many ancient philosophies and spiritual traditions. In Eastern thought, concepts like Brahman or Tao describe a fundamental reality that is both the source of the universe and conscious in nature. In Western philosophy, thinkers like Spinoza argued that God and nature are the same thing, a single, infinite substance with both physical and mental aspects. What makes this idea especially fascinating today is that it is no longer limited to philosophy or religion. Advances in neuroscience, physics, and information theory are bringing similar questions into scientific discussion. Some researchers propose that consciousness may be related to information processing. The universe, at its core, appears to be made of information. Physical laws describe how information changes and flows over time. If consciousness arises from information, and the universe is fundamentally informational, then consciousness may not be an accidental byproduct. It may be an inherent feature of reality itself. There is also the strange nature of time to consider. Time seems to flow in one direction, yet the laws of physics do not clearly explain why. Some theories suggest that time may not be fundamental at all, but an emergent phenomenon. If time is not fundamental, then the universe might exist as a single, timeless structure. In such a universe, awareness would not be confined to moments, but could be part of the whole. This leads to profound implications for free will and meaning. If the universe is conscious in some sense, then our actions may be part of a larger, self-experiencing process. Free will would not disappear, but it would be reframed. Choices would be local expressions of a global unfolding, rather than isolated events in a meaningless void. Of course, there are strong objections to these ideas. Many scientists argue that consciousness requires complex biological systems and that extending it to the universe is unnecessary and untestable. They point out that we must be careful not to confuse mystery with meaning. Just because we do not fully understand consciousness does not mean the universe itself is aware. These criticisms are important and valid. At present, there is no direct evidence that the universe is conscious. This idea remains speculative. But speculation has always been the starting point of discovery. At one time, atoms, curved space, and invisible waves carrying information through the air were all considered absurd. What makes the idea of a conscious universe worth exploring is not that it provides easy answers, but that it challenges our assumptions. It forces us to rethink what consciousness is, what matter is, and what it means to exist at all. It invites humility in the face of reality's depth and complexity. If the universe is conscious, even in a way far beyond human understanding, then existence itself takes on a new character. The universe would not be a dead stage where life briefly appears and disappears. It would be a living process, endlessly exploring its own possibilities. In this view, suffering, joy, creation, and destruction are not meaningless accidents. They are experiences within a vast cosmic story that is still unfolding. This does not remove pain or difficulty, but it places them within a larger context, one where awareness itself is fundamental. Even if the universe is not conscious in any literal sense, the idea still has value. It reminds us that we are deeply connected to everything around us. The same laws that govern distant galaxies shape our thoughts and emotions. The same particles that formed stars now form your body and mind. Perhaps the most important question is not whether the universe is conscious, but how this idea changes the way we live. If we see ourselves as separate from the universe, we may treat it as something to exploit. But if we see ourselves as expressions of a greater whole, our sense of responsibility may expand. Science continues to explore these questions with increasing sophistication. New theories of consciousness, deeper understandings of quantum reality, and better models of complexity may one day bring clarity. Or they may reveal even deeper mysteries. Until then, the question remains open. What if the universe is conscious? What if awareness is not something that appears briefly in isolated brains, but something woven into the fabric of reality itself? And what if, through us, the universe is slowly learning to understand itself? If this idea fascinates you, challenges you, or even unsettles you, that is a good thing. Big questions are meant to do that. They remind us that knowledge is not finished, and reality is far stranger than we often assume. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep and thought-provoking content from Information World.